At this stage in the build, I'm going to install the compass module, the receiver for this particular build also, which is a JR921X 2.4 gigahertz receiver. We'll start with the compass. We're going to use this 5-pin Molex, which is the only 5-pin cable on the device to install the compass. We'll do this first, and then we'll move on to the receiver. First thing I want to do is take these two stickies, double-sided stick tapes. Actually, the way I've done this lately is I go ahead and take both these out at one time. Like so. And that fits really nicely on the back of the compass. I'll go ahead and square this up. It doesn't have to be perfect in this situation, but the mount needs to be nice and square onto the AHRS. There's our compass module. I'm going to go ahead and plug this 5-pin Molex in here to the compass port, so it's not in under the compass. When we try to plug it in later, it's best to plug it in now. That's the 6-pin, I'm sorry. There's a 5-pin here also. Grab the wrong cable. It seats in there nicely. I'll leave that loose for now. The next thing, I'm going to turn this so that I can see center and the squareness of the mount. I'm going to remove the back side of the double-sided tape now, and it's ready to stick down. So we'll find the center of our unit, and we'll put it at the very front edge here, but in the center of our unit. Okay, now it's stuck down. We'll go ahead and make another loop like we did earlier in the build for the AHRS port cable. And this is ready to plug into the compass. That completes the physical installation of the compass unit onto our AHRS. I'll turn that into the camera, or better yet, maybe into the light a little, and slightly into the camera. I'll turn it away, so we're looking at the front of our aircraft again. And there's our compass mounted on the aircraft. Front edge of the AHRS centered and square at the middle of our aircraft. Of course, now covered up our arrow for our AHRS unit, which is attitude and heading reference system. We have another arrow here. Also, I did not cover up the light, the indicator light on our AHRS module. Okay, let's move on to our receiver. The physical aspect of that is complete. Now this is JR. You'll notice in your instruction manual and also in the software when we get there, there's a page on doing the wiring to a JR receiver, and also a page on doing wiring to other brands of receivers, and I'll grab that page now. Our FC1212 is oriented in such a way that on our input side, channel 1 is throttle, channel 2 is elevator, channel 3 is aileron, channel 4 is rudder. That's our 4 primary flight channels. Here's our optional channels, which is 6, 7, and 8, plus then channel 5, which is our flight mode switching channel. Or normally, if you use channel 5 on your radio, that is your gear channel. That's the way I use it. I use a 3-way switch there when possible. If not, then I can use a 2-way switch. And if someone wants to fly aerobatic, then we leave the normal mode in. If not, then I'll just make it to where the switch goes between ATT mode and RTH mode. ATT standing for attitude stabilization, which means keeping the attitude of the machine level. Return to home, RTH, the other mode, of course, exactly as it sounds, means the aircraft's going to return to home. Okay, now on the next page, it shows us the wiring for the different types of radios. To go to a JR or Spectrum radio, channels, the aileron is actually channel 2, and the elevator is channel 3, with the throttle remaining channel 1 as on the FC1212, and the rudder remaining the same. So all we're going to do is we're going to take channel 1 to channel 1 in the receiver. We're going to take channel 2 from our receiver. We're actually going to take channel 2 in our FC1212 and go into channel 3. I'm actually going to go ahead and do that in reverse, because all you're doing is switching channel 2 and channel 3. Everything else is the same on a JR Spectrum. In this case, we're actually using a Spectrum DX8i. And then if you're doing a Futaba, you can see you have to cross channels 1 and 3, because actually on it, the aileron is channel 1 on Futaba, and the throttle is channel 3. So we'll go ahead and install this way with the JR receiver. So channel 1 is throttle, that's marked on the receiver. And in this situation, the black wires actually go upward. You can tell that in two ways. One being that these holes, the bevels, will align to where that's the only way that it will plug in. Also, if you not be able to see here, you may. There's markings here that symbolize negative, positive, and signal. If you whatever's in toward the receiver is the way your wiring will go, which means there's our negative, the black wire up, second wire down is our positive, and third wire, white wire, is our signal wire. So that's the proper orientation for our wiring. I'll go ahead and wire up the rest of the wires, and then we'll move on from there. Remember, channel 2 and channel 3 cross from this unit to this unit. So we'll take channel 3 first and plug it into channel 2, which is our aileron. And we'll take channel 3, or channel 2 rather, and plug it into channel 3. Channel 4 is, of course, into 4. And now, the other two channels can go on any channel you want in your receiver. You need to assign a switch there, or if your radio doesn't have switch assign capabilities, then you're going to have to use the channels that correspond with those switches that you would be required to use. I'm going to go straight 1 through 6 in this particular radio. We're using the DX8i. It has pretty good channel assigning capabilities. Okay, that's got our receiver wired up. If you notice on our deck, I'm going to zoom back out. The wiring here comes to the rear of the craft. This group of wiring I'm actually going to move toward the front of the craft to try to equalize our magnetic fields. I'm going to pull these actually a little further out and then tie, keeping our receiver at this rear corner, the squared portion of the left side of our craft. And then we'll route this is our satellite antenna. In the case of JR and Spectrum, uses these satellites. Futaba does not. I haven't worked with the high-tech yet, so I can't give you really any information on that. So we have that there. I've already got some pieces of Velcro for wrapping our wires, but I need the sticky back to Velcro to go ahead and mount our receiver. Or you could mount it on foam. I prefer to mount it with Velcro. You know, foam double-sided tape. I have do a lot of building, so I have plenty of Velcro. It's a good idea to keep plenty, and of the different types as well. I'll cut off an equal portion of this Velcro to the portion I already had cut of the other type of Velcro. My hook and my loop. This is your loop, this fuzzy. This is your hook and your loop. Just for future reference, should I use those terms. Okay, I have decided to mount the receiver here. So in doing so, I've left myself with the area here, and on the center post where I can actually put the Velcro. You can actually move it back further. I would like to catch this, so I'm going to move it forward a little further. I may end up editing some of this out. That's just dead air time. I apologize for that. That kind of worked. But it would probably stick better if I took the backing off first. There's there. Velcro for a receiver. I'm just going to go ahead and cut matching pieces to stick on those, and then we'll lay their receiver up on top of those. It can be, of course, larger. I really want to cut them much smaller, because they wouldn't stick as well. It's not a 3D helicopter for you guys to fly 3D, so you don't need the kind of retention you would on a type of aircraft. That is actually enough. So I've stuck those three pieces on there. We'll remove the backing so that we can get the sticky side exposed, and just stick the receiver right on there, nice and square. Saves us from trying to figure out where to put these things on the bottom of there. We've pre-aligned them for ourselves. So I'm going to just slightly inside the edge of the frame, but yet catch all the Velcro I can. That's where I'm going to put him. And then there's part of a receiver mounted. I'm not going to need a large piece of Velcro to tie these down. We're going to end up probably putting, if there's a camera mount on here, which there is, I may not cover that in these videos. I may, it's already built. The mount and how you override channels on your camera mount to either disable channels, which you can use with channel 6. I cut this, but be careful not cutting wires. And that's pretty well. The mount, if we wasn't going to run a camera mount, which we are, so I'll be doing some more wiring there. Run this backwards and back up through here for our satellite. Plug it back in. Easier than trying to run the satellite down through that tiny hole. Alright. There's a few ways to mount your satellite. In this situation, I'm actually going to put it straight down on the bottom of the, you could bring it down, put it on one of your legs. That's a good clear place to get lots of signal. I think you're still going to get plenty up under here, just up under the bottom. So I'm pause the video, do that real